Welcome back, Patriots, to the Bald Brad Show. It is officially hump day. Yes, I saw Karen Catmom post that in the chat. It is Wednesday, September 25th, folks, and we got a lot of news to cover. We're going to be talking about, at some point during the show, is the media, the Democrat Party, manipulating us on different fronts? And what I mean by that is, we have recent poll data coming out showing that Donald Trump and Kamala Harris are basically dead even. And, well, I just find that really hard to believe. I really do. It's not making sense. I've sat there and thought about it for many days now going, how the heck am I continuing to see all these things around me with my own eyes in a leftist-dominated state by far, and you're going to tell me that all of a sudden there's all these people for Kamala Harris? Where are they? Is there a silent majority that I'm missing? Is there people out there that are so pro-Kamala that they don't have signs on their lawns, they don't have flags waving from their houses, they don't have bumper stickers? I don't know. We're going to break it down for you today, folks. Hopefully you're doing well. Let's jump right in the news. We got a lot of stuff to cover. We did cover this yesterday. In case you missed it, I want to plug the video from yesterday. We have here Soros-backed organizations leverage waves of new migrants, in other words, immigrants, to sway elections. If you did not see yesterday's episode where we talked about how Soros is funding specific swing states to get immigrants to become citizens so that they could turn in those citizens as to votes, go check that out, man. It is a good video. I thought we were on top of it yesterday. Let me know if you guys enjoyed that episode where we went undercover and exposed what Soros is doing, along with the foozery that they were doing in 2020, and then connecting it in detail to what they're going to do today. We have a clip here of Vance unloading again Kamala Harris over border wall disaster. We did watch it yesterday, but it was just so damn good that I actually wanted to play it again today, because this sounds like a Bald Brad rant, does it not?
And our message to Kamala Harris is, how dare you call people a racist for wanting to close down that wide open border? Our message to Kamala Harris is, how dare you call the citizens of your own country bad people because they don't want a flood of illegal migration in their country? Kamala Harris, how dare you attack the citizens of your own country for not wanting their children to die of fentanyl overdoses? Kamala Harris, how dare you call the citizens of your own country bad people? You're a bad person for causing this border crisis. We are not bad people for complaining about it.
He's correct. Now, it's always the Republicans that are bad people, right? But at no point is the Democrats bad on anything. Again, this all ties into the polls. Something is not adding up here. Majority of Americans feel like they're doing worse off now than they were under Donald Trump. Like the majority of Americans. Majority of Americans feel like Donald Trump's the one that's going to fix the economy. Majority of Americans feel like Donald Trump's the one that's going to fix the immigration problem. Immigration is one of the top 3 issues for American citizens. And Donald Trump beats Kamala Harris out on all the issues. All the top issues he's winning. How is it, if he's the one that's going to fix all the top issues that the Democrats caused, why then would it be dead even? Single voters, maybe? Maybe the way that they're doing their polling is biased? We'll break it down for you, folks. We will break it down for you. Some updates here regarding Donald Trump's most recent assassination attempt. You have the individual being charged with attempting to kill Donald Trump. Now, we all saw this was coming, but if you recall, there was a CNN video on how these guys are saying, well, it's going to be tough to prosecute this guy for trying to kill Donald Trump. Prosecutors announced on Tuesday that this individual, I don't even want to call him by his name, has been charged with attempting to kill former President Donald Trump. Prosecutors said in a pretrial detention hearing for Routh on Monday that they are seeking to charge Roth for attempted assassination. A grand jury in Florida decided to indict Roth on Tuesday for attempting to kill Trump, as well as 4 other charges. I believe they also arrested his son yesterday on like some child porn or something like that. So that guy will hopefully be behind bars for a long time. But again, if you recall yesterday, we talked about how they released this dude's letter that was in a box saying that if anybody's willing to finish the job, he'll give him $150,000 or something. Now, this guy isn't somebody that you would expect to have $150,000, and we don't know if that's true. I want to see what this guy had in his bank account, if he really did have 150, and if he did, where did it come from? Because I don't believe that it was his. And if it is, well, how'd you get it? How'd you save up $150,000? That's what I want to know. Sounds some foosery going on. Well, I think we waited long enough to figure out, well, what the hell's going on with the polls here? Let's jump right into that. This comes from NBC News, where newly popular Harris builds momentum, challenging Trump for the mantle of change. Again, why do things need to change if everything was so good under Kamala Harris? It boggles the mind. It does not make sense. Nobody's still been able to answer that for me. If she was so great as vice president, if Joe Biden, the most popular president in the history of this country, allegedly, if they were such the dream team, if they were so great, why do you need to change anything? If it's broke, why fix it? Or if it's not broke, why fix it? So we have here the latest polls, folks. Let's jump into this. The nitty gritty, baby. The spice and dice. A double-digit increase in popularity, rising Democratic enthusiasm, folks, this is just a couple of days ago, and an early edge for representing change has vaulted Vice President Kamala Harris forward and reshuffled the 2024 presidential contest. With just over 6 weeks until Election Day, isn't that crazy? I mean, it's right around the corner. We will also be live on Tuesday, folks, next Tuesday, for the vice presidential debate with JD Vance and Tim Walz, wacko weirdo Tim. So we'll be live for that one. Bring your mugs, folks. Bring your drinks. We will be doing the bingo as always. We've cleared the board every single time. A 5-point lead, folks. Explain this to me. Harris has a 5-point lead over former President Donald Trump among registered voters, 49 to 44. There is a margin of error, but when Trump was ahead by 2 points before President Joe Biden's exit, it just does not make sense to me. Again, there's a lot of bias in this, and what I mean by that is, when you're doing these polls, however they're conducted, a lot of times it's just a phone conversation, right? You phone in, you know this person's Democrat, they're registered voters, you got their info, and you ask them who they're going to vote for. You ask them other questions like, what's their top issue? Is it immigration? Is it this or that? And you get a lot of bias in there because you don't know if the person is, one, lying to you, two, this person is maybe receiving these questions to the point where the questions have been manipulated to release a response bias that favors Kamala Harris or even favors Donald Trump. So that's why I always take these with a grain of salt, but it is still data that we can utilize. What I'm bringing up is, you're going to tell me as of September, Kamala, that's highlighted there, is basically at 50%. One of the most disliked vice presidents in American history, and I'm not using this stuff to like exaggerate. I am talking about in America. I'm talking about the existence of this country. So when I'm using those terms, I mean them in all literal sense. She was not liked by any of the Democrats before this. I can't wrap my head around. So you went from extremely, like, her poll numbers were worse than Joe. Okay, Donald Trump was beating Joe by 2 points after the debate or more. But all of a sudden, now you all love her to the point where she's beating Donald Trump in the polls by 2 points or more. Some, in some cases, 5 points, right? How does that make sense to anybody in here? What was it that was so great about Kamala Harris that she jumped in some cases like 20 points? Her numbers were like 30%. They're worse than Joe's, you guys. They're worse than Joe's. What was it about Kamala Harris that when she started running made such a drastic increase in the polls that would show numbers like this? I haven't seen it. That's what I'm trying to figure out. I don't have an answer for all of you. We don't have answers on what her policies are. We don't know what she's going to give small businesses, $50,000. And if you have a child, your first time or a first-time child in terms of for that year or whatever, you get $6,000. Like that's what's going to do it for people. That swung it by like 20 points. That's what really did it for everybody. Or her coming out saying we're going to fix the economy. I'm going to lower your gas prices. It does not, none of this makes sense to me, to be honest. Now, I double checked. They have 1,000 registered voters, which statistically is a normal thing. There's the plus or minus of 3.1%. So basically, if you take that in, it could be the same outcome of basically they're dead even. But the transformation in the presidential contest goes well beyond the horse race. For starters, Harris's favorability has jumped 16 points since July. I don't know. Look at this. The largest increase for any politician in NBC News polling. Folks, the largest increase for any politician since NBC has been doing polling since the then President George Bush was standing surged for 9/11. Mind you, when you go through this, feel free to go through this yourself. There's no explanation. I've been looking. There's no explanation for anybody in here. Nobody's written about it. About why Kamala Harris legitimately would jump 16 points for no reason. Look at this. Inflation remains voters' most important issue. 28% in September, and then April was 23%, meaning people are getting even more concerned as time goes on while Kamala Harris is in office with Joe Biden, that it jumped 5% of people saying, hey, it's even worse than what it was before. We can't sit there and pay our bills. They're dipping into credit. They're dipping into their savings. Things aren't going well. So that wouldn't cause a 16-point increase since July on Kamala Harris's favorability because she's the one that caused it. Threats to democracy, 16 to 19%. So that could swing both ways. We don't really know who that's for. Immigration and the situation at the borders actually dropped because it's not really in mainstream news anymore. The media is not pushing it. The fact that they're still sitting there almost breaking records. Jobs in the economy. I don't understand this, you guys. Abortion's a wash. Healthcare, climate. You gotta love climate change. So all of these, again, all of these are problems that Kamala Harris caused, and somehow she's beating Trump. This brand new NBC poll conducted on September 13th through the 17th comes after a momentous 2 months in American politics, including Biden's withdrawal from the 2024 presidential race. Momentous. I'm reading your guys' chat. It doesn't make sense to any of you guys either, right? I'm looking at it. Everybody's here is boggling their minds. Elam, thank you so much for the $2. They are stealing in real time for us to lose hope. There's probably some truth to that. Thank you so much for the $2. I greatly appreciate it. You guys know that it's our hard-earned money, and we're dealing with an economy that's driving us right into the ground where we can't even compete against other countries. And Donald Trump wants us to compete. Kamala Harris does not. Kamala Harris wants to be a folding chair to the Chinese, the Russians, and the Ukrainians, hell, everybody, even the terrorists. But I wanted to make sure we did cover polls because, like I said, we're only really a month out here. And, God, it's just not adding up. And I know I've said this before. I know I'm beating a dead horse with it. You guys trust me. I'm well aware when I repeat myself. It just looks like the makings again of 2020. It really does. From everything you can see visually and hear with your own eyes and ears, with everybody doing parades and boat parades and caravans across the country, Trump selling out stadiums, like 50,000 people showing up. They can't even fill they fill the inside, but they can't get enough people in there. And it's just too packed. And they got people in the parking lot, just thousands with jumbotrons. And Kamala Harris can't fill, and I mean this, she can't fill a middle school gymnasium. We've seen the footage. And the parts that she does fill, it's being bussed in from like outside the areas. They've actually tracked the cell phone pings of these people that were being bussed in, and they're coming from very specific areas, like small little quadrant areas. I'm thinking we're being manipulated here. I really am. It just does not make sense, and I'm going to be hyper aware of any effery going on. And you guys know what I mean by that because we covered it yesterday. There's some weird shenanigans going on, and we'll be watching all of it because whatever they did in 2020, as we covered yesterday, they're going to do it again, folks. So they're going to do it again. Again, and mind you, the debate had no effect on battleground states. But recall, George Soros, in conjunction with the DNC, is putting tons of money into getting people to become citizens And then those citizens will turn into Democratic votes because they're immigrants. And immigrants tend to vote 90% and up towards Democrats. So they know those are basically high probability shoe-in voters for the Democrat Party in the swing states. Please understand, they're not like they're going out of their way tremendously. They're doing it in some areas, but they're not going out of their way to do this in like normal states. They're specifically choosing swing states, and that's a way to sit there and swing the election in favor of who? The Democrats. Man, they're getting bold. They're getting big time bold. The only way to beat this, you guys, is to go out and vote. We need to sit there and have more votes than what they do in terms of their foozery for the election. I hope Donald Trump wins, man. We can't do another 4 years of this. I don't think Americans can. You think credit card debt's bad now. If you think people mortgage rates are through the roof, it's just, I don't think they can do it. I mean, like, I think we'll survive as a country, but I think we're going to be in a really, really sore position. There's a lot of talks as well as a recession happening, regardless of whoever is president, by the way, just based on the yield curve and what's happened in the trends from the past. So that prepare for that one. That's all coming. I don't believe in any of their polls. Complete BS. They are doing their best to gaslight everyone, and some are falling for it. God help us that they cheat again. Absolutely terrifying. Yeah, Kim, you're absolutely correct. I actually agree with you 100% there. It is terrifying. I think, again, our country's resilient. We've seen that under Joe Biden. But I think on an individual and family level, I think it's very tough for Americans to be able to continue living the way that they're living. It's very tough. There you go. We got Bet saying voting is critical. Absolutely. And that's why we don't talk about red waves here, right? That's why we don't sit there and go, oh, we got this in the bag. No. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what any other conservative Republican are telling you guys. Don't sit at home. Everybody needs to go out and get a vote sticker. If you could vote early now, just go vote for Donald Trump if you can, or vote for whoever you want. But I say Donald Trump because most of us are independent and conservatives, Republicans that are probably going to be Trump supporters. There might be a Harris supporter in here, but they're few and far between. Dale says when they rig the election again, then they have an excuse. She was favored in the polls. Go out and vote, or else the people that don't vote will be faked and vote for Kamala. So go vote. There you go. Love it. Love it. You guys are right. The media is trying to tell us there is a blue wave in Idaho. Idaho is a very red state. Isn't Idaho like the second most Republican state in the union? Somebody check me on that. I think it's the second most Republican state. I could be wrong. Well, we got another news article here regarding migrants. It'll be blacks against migrants. Chicagoans warn of coming violent turf wars with Venezuelans. Isn't this crazy? Well, yeah, look, you know what? We always asked what? Who'd you vote for? And we're talking about Chicago here, guys. You know who they voted for. Remember, they got rid of Lori Lightfoot, the old mayor of Chicago. If you haven't seen a before and after photo of that woman, of when she took office compared to when she left office, it's one of the most disastrous looks you've ever seen in your life. I'm not beating her up for the way she looks. You just see what Democrats and liberal politics does to you. I mean, she went from looking like a woman to looking like she walked out of some crazy psych ward, and holy Lord, well, that's for another time. And so they replaced her with another left guy, Johnson. So as Chicago gang members and ex-convicts are warning of coming violent turf wars with newly arrived Venezuelan migrants who are part of the notorious gang. Not unlike other cities across this country, Chicago has been inundated with migrants on the border crisis as it rages on. So you bust all these people there. Remember, though, they're all good people, you guys. No, they're good people. None of these are actually, the people that are coming across, these Venezuelans, these migrants, no, they're not gang members. What are you talking about? No, come on, they came here for work. According to Kamala Harris, the border czar, and let's just pretend that she wasn't the border czar. Let's play into the imagination game that the Democrats like to play on themselves. She was just going down there to figure out why there was such a big migration issue. Yeah, her big migration answer was climate change. That was it. Yeah. Oh, tough one. Oh, because that wasn't already a part of their make-believe agenda. Oh, the climate's changing. No shit. It's been changing since ever. It will actually change tomorrow. We'll probably go from like 78-degree weather to 77-degree weather. Yeah, it actually changes. Remarkable thing how that works out. So she says it's climate change because they're having a drought and famine and all these things taking place. So That's why these people are here, you guys. It's not because of the free stuff we give them and the handouts and all those things, the safety net. No. I mean, they are actually doing so well here in the United States that they're outcompeting, in some cases, actual Americans, and they're sending their money back to their home countries. We covered this years ago. They're sending their money back to their home countries, and what it's actually doing in their localities is inflating the housing market in the localities of which they're coming from, and it's causing the people, the actual citizens of their home country, to not be able to afford houses. Isn't that crazy? They're flourishing. They're flourishing. There's also cases where people, I think it was Venezuelan migrants, I can't remember exactly where they were coming from. We also heard reports, I don't know, we read reports about some of these people were coming to Democrat-ran areas, and it was such a terrible area. Democrats have created such a dilapidated area that they said, you know what, we're actually going to go back. These illegal immigrants went to Democrat-ran areas. It was ran so terribly that they go, where we were coming from was actually better. We're going to go back. So that's real, by the way, not making that up one bit. Not like, unlike other cities. Well, I mean, your city sees tons of murders and rapes every week, you know, but Democrats love it. They'll continue to vote for it. When the black gangs here get fed up with the illegalities and criminal activities of these migrants, or non-citizens, the city of Chicago is going to go up in flames, and there'll be nothing the National Guard or the government can do about it when the bloodshed hits the streets. This is terrible. But what I'm laughing about is the fact that these people voted for all this. You wanted to be a sanctuary city. You wanted to be a right to shelter city. So now you got what you wanted. You're all bragging for years. Oh, look at us. Screw you, Republicans, you bigots. You won't take in the entire population of some foreign country. Puh! And they spit on us, right? They talk shit about us for years. So we go, fine. We'll Greyhound bus them. We'll fly them to you, and you can take care of them instead of Arizona, Texas, and Florida. You go ahead and take care of them. And what they're seeing is stuff like this. That's what they're seeing. And so now when they actually have to have the repercussions of their voting behavior, all of a sudden, they don't know what to do. All of a sudden, well, we're going to start rioting. The city's going to go up in flames. We're going to burn this shit to the ground. Come on. Why don't you house them, right? Isn't it amazing? Have you guys not noticed this? Is it amazing that all these immigrants are like living on the streets, or they have to take over hotel rooms, right? They have to take over apartment complexes and kick out Americans. Where's all the Democrats housing them? Where's all the jobs for all these people, you guys? Where's all this stuff that we were told by Democrats? Well, we have all this land. Well, they could come in, they'll get a job. Well, why don't you just take care of them? We can help them. Then why is your infrastructure crumbling? Why is your education crumbling because of this? Why don't you have the money? Why is Mayor Eric Adams, for example, of New York City, begging the federal government to sit there and refund all the expenses that's being caused by these illegal immigrants? But you can handle it, though. We were told you guys can handle it. So why are you not able to handle it? Why are you begging for money if you can't handle it? You spent years saying, well, why don't we just house them? Come on, open borders. We can have this type of immigration. We can have the massive amounts that we're having. No, we can't. And this is case in point, but that's not working. It's still not working. They're running over their streets, talking about turf wars. Still not clicking. They are stepping over illegal immigrants. In all cases, we saw videos. They're stepping over illegal immigrants doing fentanyl so their kids can get to school. Their kids are going through encampments of illegal immigrants just to get an education. And they still haven't woken up to it. Because it's not bad enough for them. It's not bad. I just, the amount of lack of connections, I don't know what the hell it is. If they, like I've always said, if Democrats, I've always said, listen, I've always said, if this was a Republican doing this to me and I voted for it, I wouldn't be bitching. That's my fault. I voted for the guy. I don't want to hear the complaints of, well, the crime is high. We don't have enough police. Oh, they're here. They're taking our funds. Our education system's broken. I don't want to hear any of that because you voted for it. It's like the Democrats in my home state of California complaining about Prop 47. You voted for it. Well, Gavin Newsom's not doing a good job of cleaning up the streets. The crime is terrible. Businesses are leaving. I can't get a job. Everything's so expensive. It's a remarkable... I've always said it's a remarkable thing to have a full-on conversation with somebody and just hear them spew all this stuff that I'm talking about. Meaning I have to hear them moan and complain, bitch and complain. And then my follow-up is always this. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but who'd you vote for? And you see them, they are, it's like somebody just took their elbow and just pow right in their temple, and they're dazed and confused, right? They don't know what to do. They're dazed and confused. And they're like, holy shit. And then they don't know how to answer, because you know that they know, but they don't want to admit it, because then everything they complained about is their fault, and they have to take personal responsibility in some way, shape, or form. In some way, shape, or form. I'm not going to say they're responsible for some a-hole going and stealing $1,000 worth of goods and services or whatever. That's not what I'm saying. But they have to come to the realization that, oh, it's me. And then what's even more astonishing is when they have that realization, they'll walk down the street and completely forget about it, and they'll go vote Democrat again. Well, here's Kamala Harris. there's a hard transition. Here's Kamala Harris's campaign refuses to provide stance on migrant flight programs. Interesting. The migrant flight parolee program has allowed nearly 500,000 migrants into the United States. But don't worry, she's going to fix the problem, you guys. Oh, she's going to fix it. The Harris campaign refused to answer whether or not the Democrats supported a migrant parolee program that allowed hundreds of thousands of migrants in the United States when asked by Fox News reporter Bill Milligan, all while attempting to portray the vice president as tough on the border. I want to see if there's a clip for us here. I can't remember if I had one queued up. I do not. So let's actually see the response here. As a prosecutor for 20 years, the Vice President Harris has spent her career putting criminals behind bars. Sure. Yeah. And upholding the rule of law. But I'm laughing. Guys, I live here. Like, this is my home state. I've seen, in my lifetime, I'm 35, I've seen what they've done to Los Angeles. I used to go up there for auditions almost like every month at least. It's terrible. Okay. It's not good. I don't go up there anymore if I don't have to. As Attorney General of California, Kamala Harris went after international drug gangs, human traffickers, and cartels. Well, why is she not going after them now or the last 3.5 years? I mean, we literally just got done talking about international gang wars, right? Like, they're coming here and having turf wars with our own gang members. So it's gangs on gangs. What was that movie with, was it Gangs of New York? They're going to have a TV show in like 20 years called Gangs of Chicago. It's going to be illegal immigrants versus actual gangs of whatever. I don't know what type of gangs they have in Chicago. I didn't even know gangs was really that massive of an issue still. The statement went out to add that Harris supports a piece of border legislation that would end the use of controversial Customs and Border Patrol One app that they were bragging about for years. Remember how that was like an app where they basically could sit there and secure their spot when they come to the border? So they don't have to be at the border yet. They could be sitting on their couch in their home country, right, with their feet up, and book a scheduled appointment and just make it to the border on their scheduled appointment and just being let loose into the interior of the country. This allows migrants to remotely schedule asylum interview appointments from outside the United States. Anybody can do it, right? You can bullshit your application, your interview is what we'll call it. And, well, come on in. You filled it out. Oh, goody. Come on in. That's all it is. That's all it is. The legislation does not, however, address the migrant flight program, which has allowed hundreds of thousands of inadmissible aliens into the interior of the country. Yeah. But don't worry, somehow she's razor thin with Donald Trump, you guys, because she's going to fix all this. Yeah, all of a sudden, yeah, just on a dime. Isn't it a remarkable thing? We talk about this ad nauseum. For years, 8 years it's been, a little bit more, almost close to a decade, where Democrats said it was racist to even talk about immigration. You couldn't even bring it up. They didn't want a border wall. They didn't want any legislation. They just wanted open borders. That was the policy of the progressive left that ultimately got woven in with the Democrat Party. And so it was racist, as bigoted. We were all called that for years. I was called that. All of a sudden, it's a remarkable thing. All of a sudden, like that, like Kamala Harris just woke up one morning running for president, right? Because this guy supposedly, we'll get there, this guy supposedly wrote a letter and announced it on Twitter. He wrote a letter. No White House letterhead, nothing like that. Not even the same signature as Joe Biden. But he stepped down, right? All of a sudden, it's not racist anymore. All of a sudden, it's completely normal to sit there and want to build a border wall again. All of a sudden, we got money. Oh, where'd this come from? Oh, here's like $10 billion. Oh, where'd that come from? Remember how Donald Trump had a fight tooth and nail with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer to get a border wall. All of a sudden, it's okay, you guys. It's a remarkable thing. In a matter of less than 24 hours, they went from like, it's racist, you bigots, you fucking Nazis, puh, you piece of shit, to, hey, we need a border wall. Immigration's a huge issue. It's a problem. Yeah, we got to fix it. Yeah, where you guys been on this? Maybe I should turn the hat. You know what I mean? Just so we really know I'm playing Democrat. Where you guys been? Yeah, no, we got to build a border wall. Things are really bad down at the border. We got to get legislation in really quick. It's really hurting our country. Yeah, we got it. Where's the money? We got to get money. We have money. Yeah, we have money. It's not racist. What do you mean it's not racist? It's not racist. No, it's compassion. It's empathy. You have to have empathy and compassion. Spent fucking years fighting with these people. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And you bring that up to them? We never said that. We never said it was racist. As you're like showing them a clip on your iPhone of like them doing it, like spitting on you, you know what I mean? Talking shit. Like, come on. If you're enjoying this, folks, hit that like button. It really does help support the show. If you feel like we deserve your subscription, it'd be greatly appreciated. We only have 34 likes over at YouTube, folks. Let's see what we got over at Rumble. We got a lot more people in the chat than that. We got 14 likes, folks. We got a lot more people in there. Just smash it. Some of us forget. It really does help, folks. Don't feel like you have to. Just, it does help, like I said. So Biden touts withdrawal from Afghanistan in his final speech to the United Nations. The dude's bragging about pulling out of Afghanistan with bodies flying from the sky, right? I'll just, and just smack. Terrible. I'm not making fun of that. That is terrible. That there was bodies, people clinging on to a C-17 plane and just falling. They were in the wheel wells, so when they landed, bodies were being crushed and just blown to bits from the weight of it, or frozen. And he's going to sit there. It was a hard decision, but the right decision. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. This is the scary part when you start rationalizing bad things that already have taken place. When you start rationalizing 13 Americans getting blown up and leaving billions of dollars of military-grade equipment to an enemy that sat there and killed a bunch of American citizens, when you rationalize giving $87 million to the Taliban that also fought against us for 20 years, that's the scary thing. And the fact that he has the balls to sit there and walk up to the United Nations and say stuff like that is just like, you could have talked about almost anything and everything else, but you sit and pull one of the most embarrassing botched pullouts to sit there on the national stage in front of the United Nations and tell everybody how what you did was a great thing. You know, Joe, not everybody's an idiot. Some of these countries, even though they're assholes, some of these countries are. They talk shit behind our backs all the time in front of our faces. Read Nikki Haley's book. Phenomenal job. Nikki Haley exposed the United Nations, man. I don't like the United Nations at all. These countries take our money, and they're two-faced, and they'll sit there and say stuff publicly, and then behind closed doors, they're begging us for more cash. You guys should really read that book. It's really eye-opening. It's Nikki Haley's book. Great, phenomenal read, quick read, and she really lets you know about who Donald Trump is behind closed doors, but also, again, about the corruption of the United Nations, and she gives you a lot of in detail look at some of these terrorists are doing. It's disgusting. Good morning, off topic, but have you seen the video of Harris advocating for legalization of pros? It's circulating. It's gross. Hope it goes viral. I have not. I'll have to check that out, though. Trump blasts Kamala's plan to visit the southern border. I love that. We have that here, where CNN reported on Monday that Harris will visit the U.S.-Mexico border during a campaign stop in Arizona. Oh, sure she will. Oh, she'll be down there. Oh, boy, she'll be down there. As her opponent continues to focus on illegal immigration and the record number of border encounters under the Biden-Harris administration. Does nobody in the Democrat, if there's a Democrat in here, please speak up. We'll be nice. Is there no thought the fact that she actually flew over the border when she was vice president? What I mean by that is she went to South America, as I referred to earlier, because she needed to figure out why there were so many people trying to pour into our country, because she couldn't possibly believe it was the fact of all the free benefits that they get. She couldn't possibly think that, right? So she blames it on the climate crisis. Rather than flying to the border, right? Parking your damn plane, getting your ass off that plane, and maybe talking Border Patrol, right? Maybe talk to some of the illegal immigrants, see what's going on there, to ask them why they came, right? It's a really short trip. You know what I mean? And talking to the people that were actually coming here illegally, rather than just having a conversation with them, her ass flies over the border to South America to talk to the presidents of those countries that are allowing this mass migration to take place, not halting it in their own country, none of those things, allowing these massive caravans to come to our border. Hey, what's going on? Why is there all this immigration problem? She's an idiot. But now she's going to go because it's an election year, folks. She has to go down there. After almost 4 years, the border czar, Harris, has decided for political reasons that it's time for her to go out to our broken southern border. What a disgrace. And she waited so long, allowing millions of people to enter our country from prisons, mental institutions, and criminal cells all over the world, not just South America. This is correct, by the way. I forget how many nations were coming in, but it was like 95 nations or something like that. It might have been up to 110, which is a lot. There's only so many registered nations. I think the United Nations has 123 registered nations or 193. I can't remember. It doesn't mean anything. Many of those coming are terrorists at a level never seen before. Now, this is what people do with Trump, is because he says many of those are coming are terrorists. How are you going to sit there and call all those illegal immigrants that want a better life terrorists? Why don't you read between the lines, you idiots? He doesn't literally mean everybody that's coming across as terrorists. He's emphasizing the fact that there are terrorists coming across the border. Could he clean up his rhetoric? Yeah. But he's Trump. He's not going to. We all know that. So rather than fighting it and trying to change a dude that's going to be like in his 80s soon, why don't you just accept how he talks and then figure out what the dude actually means when he says something? I know that he's not talking about every illegal immigrant. So why can't you, Democrats, why can't you in your thick skull understand the fact that he's not talking about every single illegal alien? Well, he said many of those. He exaggerates things all the time. He says and exaggerates things all the time. Why am I even having to explain this? Like, hand to God, really. Put a Y in chat for yes and N for no in chat. Do you think Donald Trump means actually what he means here? Many of those coming are terrorists. Do you think many of the 10 million people here are terrorists? Yes, if you believe that. No, if you don't. Let me know in the chat. Because all of us are probably going to vote for Trump, I imagine, or a lot of us. Do you guys think Trump really means that? Many of those coming are terrorists. Like when you read that, did you go, yep, all of them are terrorists. Majority of them are. All 15 million or 10 million. We know it's 10.3 for sure. Yep. So I'm going to wait because there's a slight delay here between my feed and the chat. I want to know what Patriots think. Some people are saying yes. Well, I don't know if that why. You think all of them, Karen, are terrorists? Wow. All right, maybe I'm wrong. Wow, really? Damn. Maybe I completely missed the chat. You guys really think that he means a lot of the people coming across the border are terrorists? You think, wow, okay. I completely missed the chat. There's a few no's, there's some yeses. Brad, he's not exaggerating that much. Many babies are being sold, sex trafficking. Many women are being raped. I agree, but guys, 10.3 million? Wow, okay. I completely misread the chat. Oh, wow, okay. Damn. I don't think many of those coming are terrorists. I don't think so, but that's okay. That's part of the community. We don't have to agree on everything. I don't think he actually means this, but I'm wrong. In the case of what the chat is, boast. Okay, all right. I don't agree with you, but I love you guys. I don't agree with you, but I love you. At least you know we can have a civil dialogue here. She's continuing to con the public. Like I do think there's terrorists here. I don't think it's anywhere near what I think you guys think it is. I know there's like 1,000, a little over 1,000 is what was reported by the CIA. And by the way, the CIA, this is somebody that is like a contractor for them that is somewhat of a whistleblower. I agree. One is too damn many. I 100% agree. I just don't think many of those coming are terrorists. I really don't believe that. That to me, and don't take it, I think that's insane, right? 21 million people that are in this country now. I don't think most of them are terrorists, right? Many of them are coming are terrorists. So I don't know. It's all right. We'll move on. Big thing here real quick. Just want to point out the fact that Paramount Global starts off 2 of layoffs aiming to cut 500 million. So they're going to lay off at least 2,000 US based employees. And because the Hollywood entertainment industry is just having freaking a problem. They're just going into shambles right now because they're pushing this woke agenda. And what's interesting is usually the cuts will be at the bottom. They're not going to be at the top. So rather than getting rid of the executives that are pushing for this terrible output of production in terms of entertainment air quotes, they'll get rid of the lower level employees and not actually the people, the executives that are pushing this whole nonsense. The LGBTQ, elemental P, alphabet soup community agenda down our throats constantly, where nobody actually wants to go to the movie theater anymore. One, because it's too damn expensive. And second, the movies suck. And we're tired of all this crap. So that's happening. And I want to get to some clips here, folks, of Nancy Pelosi in just one moment. So that's what I appreciate about this community, right? You guys can have your thoughts, and we could disagree, and we go on. Isn't it an amazing thing that we could sit there and go, okay, well, we disagree. Life goes on. We're all going to go to work later for the most part. We're all going to sit there and eat, have lunch, right? Probably watch TV later. And it's an amazing thing how that works out in the Republican sphere, where Democrats are fighting with one another, right? Calling each other racists, even then, right? Eating their own. Here, we don't eat our own. I didn't beat you guys up. I just said, hey, I just disagree. I don't think that's the case. And you know what? There's other people that agree with me in the chat, and there's other people that don't. I think it's just a great community that we have here where we can agree and disagree on things. Life goes on. Life goes on. There you go. Yeah. Mizzy says it. Yeah. And still be friends. It's okay. Like, it's all right. You know what I mean? But I'm telling you what, it's not, you don't really see that much on the other side. Their minds are blown when that's the case. You know what I mean? Their minds are freaking blown when that happens. But I love reading the chat. I love hanging out with you guys. Always greatly appreciated. Well, Eric Birch, $5. Wow, Patriot fam. Love that. That's true. Love that. And that's what it is. It's a family. It's a community that we're building here. Architect, our side of the aisle is pretty straightforward. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you guys weren't blushing. You were just like, they're terrorists. And I'm like, I don't think so, but okay. And there's love there. There's love. So what we have here is Nancy Pelosi. I want to show you who actually posted this. This comes from Chris Evans. Okay. He's a small business owner, receipts provided, movie live tweeter, and he's interesting fellow. Nancy Pelosi drags the F out of Jake Tapper. She doesn't, though. She doesn't. She just shows how crazy Nancy she is. Let's roll it.
Hear from progressive voters, Democratic voters who say, as I hear from them on social media, the media made such a big deal out of Joe Biden's alleged cognitive problems. Why don't they talk about Donald Trump's cognitive problems? Well, Donald Trump talked about that just a second ago, and I want to get your reaction.
You're going to compare Donald Trump's cognitive problems to Joe Biden's? Really?
Let's run that clip.
They laugh at us all over the world. They're laughing at us. And you know what they're really laughing at? Kamala, because they can't believe that she's going to be president. They can't believe. You talk about cognitive problems? She's got bigger cognitive problems than he has, in my opinion.
Donald Trump saying that Kamala Harris has bigger cognitive problems than Joe Biden.
Why would you even cover that? This is a person who's not on the level. He is their nominee for president. He is incompetent. Let's not even talk about the silliness of it all and the weirdness of it all and the assault on women that it is. We're not going to talk issues. Incompetent. The only thing he did as president, when he had the majority, was to pass a bill that gave a tax cut that gave 83 of the benefits to the top 1%, adding $2 trillion to the national debt.
Where do I start? Where do I start? We only have so much time. We're not even halfway through the show yet. Where the hell do I start? Nancy, that 3% cut and the change in the tax brackets, the credits, right? Moving that personal exemption to standardized deduction, increasing the standardized deduction. What the hell are you talking about, bitch? Like, the average American, meaning across the board, save for 3% on their taxes, at least, unless they jumped up a bracket, which is a good thing, right? In a sense that you're making more money. What the hell are you talking about? Well, the 1%'s the one they got the tax cuts. What? I'm getting dizzy. Roxy, thank you so much for the $9.99. Man, you guys are really going bonkers today. I love that. Thank you so much for your guys' support. Again, we're not beholden by a corporation here. It's all grassroots through you guys helping out, as well as me taking some of my paychecks and putting it back in the show myself. Greatly appreciated, Roxy. Thank you again. And thank you, Eric, as well. And Elem, thank you, everybody, for just supporting. It's always greatly appreciated, guys. Thank you. It all goes back into the show. None of it goes back into my wallet. We all put it back. So we're saving up another kind of current bucket, and then we're going to start doing ads again. So we spent what we had. Now we're saving up again, and we're going to run some more ads in a little bit. This is wild. This is crazy.
The worst job creation record of anybody president since Herbert Hoover.
Because of COVID, yes.
Well, it's not because of COVID. We put $3 trillion into the economy when he was president, working $2 trillion to the national debt. The worst job creation record of anybody president since Herbert Hoover.
Because of COVID, yes.
Well, it's not because of COVID. We put $3 trillion into the economy when he was president, working with and the Congress working together. We put.
What the hell is she talking about? Did you hear her? Fuck, dude. She's trying to blame Trump, right? And Jake Tapper, rightfully so, which I don't know why he's calling her out. Why don't you call Kamala Harris? Like, why doesn't Kamala Harris get her ass in that seat and you do the exact same thing to Kamala, which he won't do? She's going to blame Trump. And if you notice she slides it in there. I mean, it's almost like she's being hit finally because she's coming closer to. She's finally telling a little bit of truth there about Congress working with Trump to do it. So it's funny that she blames Trump, but then she goes back, well, shit, it was Congress, right? Congress has the keys to the purse. I can't blame Donald Trump for it because we're the ones that actually control the money. Oh, shit. In actuality, it's my fault because guess who was in Congress when this happened? Nancy was.
When he was president, working with and the Congress working together. We put $3 trillion into the economy.
Oh, they work together on it. See, all of a sudden, somehow the executive branch has the keys to the purse as well. They all have keys dangling. They're like the janitor. Huh.
So don't blame it on. And what did he do with COVID? Denial and delay. Responsible for thousands and thousands of people dying. So if you're going to forgive his job record because of COVID, make sure you attribute many of those deaths to him as well.
Not forgiving anything, just noting the content.
Incompetent. Forget silly and crazy and crooked and all the rest. Incompetent.
Let me
vote.
More people died under Joe Biden with COVID than they did under Donald Trump. I mean, hey, shout out to CNN for playing that, by the way. Shout out. Stupidity isn't a cognitive issue. That's true. That's so true. Somebody said, shut up, Pelosi. That comes from Cowboy. And Joe is up to $5 trillion. Yeah, Joe has spent a lot. We showed that graph a few weeks ago, if you guys remember. Just wild. If you guys haven't seen this, this is actually scary. This was scary. So we went from funny to scary really quickly. I'm sure many of you saw this. Trump campaign statement on the ongoing threats from the Iranian terror regime. Man, I don't know how Donald Trump sleeps at night, man. That guy's a beast, dude. President Trump was briefed earlier today. This was yesterday, I believe, 24th. Yeah, yesterday. By the Office of the Director of National Intelligence regarding real and specific threats from Iran to assassinate him in an effort to destabilize sow chaos in the United States. You guys, what we've seen twice now is two idiots, right? One in Butler, Pennsylvania, and the other one off the golf course just the other week. And those were like little bitches. You know what I mean? Those were little cowards. And I don't want anything to happen to anybody. This stuff with Iran, when you have a government, you're talking like hiring assassins for hire. Like professional people. That little shit in evil scumbag in Butler, Pennsylvania, you know, the guy wearing glasses, you know, growing out his hair, looks like an idiot on the sloped roof, shooting at Trump. Yeah, that a-hole that got his head blown off. Yeah, that's not a professional assassin, right? He doesn't do it for a living. And this other guy that wore a pink shirt in the bushes, waited 12 hours for Trump. Same thing. I almost don't want Trump to even go outside. Intelligence officials have identified that these continued and coordinated attacks have heightened in the past few months, and law enforcement officials across all agencies are working to ensure President Trump is protected and the election is free from interference. I'm wondering as well if they knew about these threats, and I think that they did, is one reason why every single congressperson voted in favor. There wasn't a single person that voted against it, voted in favor of protecting Donald Trump. Because of these, I think the threats were so clear. I think they had so much intelligence. This is some real shit. That they go, oh yeah, every single one of them. Even the people that hate Trump, they hate the guy. go, oh yeah, this is bad. This is like, most likely there is going to be another assassination attempt. That's what my guess is going to be. And by the way, that also comes from Dan Bongino. That's not just my thinking. That comes from other people as well. I like to hear what other people have to say, formulate my thoughts before I release that. It makes me worried. It really makes me worried, folks. See what y'all say in the chat here. I'll bet Zelensky is behind the bounty. Hi, Patriots. Good seeing you, his servant. Routh is a bag of hot air, pretend weekend warrior until the shit gets real. Yo, Michelle's on it today, yo. Michelle with the badge is freaking on it today. Damn. Michelle's that type of girl you don't want to talk shit to because, man, she's locked and loaded. She's ready to go. You also, if you're a standard of living, it's indisputable that Americans got richer during Trump and for years, and poorer during the Harris years.
On that note, you put out a great chart, the change in America's standard of living. So you compare the first 44 months of Trump versus the first 44 months of Harris-Biden. And there is a distinct difference here. What accounts for this?
Yeah, so this is, we also have the thing here, Charles, called the common man's CPI, which I got, as I was just telling you, I got very frustrated when economists, they exclude energy, food, and shelter, and then they call it core. And I'm like, well, you know, eating and staying warm is pretty core to me.
Pretty core-ish, yeah.
You know, I don't know. So we said, let's go the other way. Let's just include food, energy, shelter, children's clothing, utilities, and insurance. What this is showing you is that people's wages outpaced inflation, both on a CPI versus a common man CPI during the Trump years.
Right.
People's prices have exceeded their wages during the Biden-Harris years. So people got richer during the Trump years, and they got poorer. Their standard of living has deteriorated, especially for those who are very focused on just the essentials,
right.
The people that can't afford.
By the way, this is actually a really good graph. I don't know if you could tell. I was trying to figure out. I was looking at the bars to make sure that they don't manipulate you, because a lot of times even Fox is known to do this. They'll actually manipulate these graphs to make it seem like one is worse than the other. So I was making sure for the audience that this is actually a legit statistical graph. And I love the fact they did the CPI on the left and then the other analysis on the right to really see the differential between the two. And this is actually a really good graph.
Ordinary Americans trying to make it day to day.
And Democrats will still vote for it. Most Democrats, though strongly misguided, are decent people. It's pure Trump derangement syndrome and brainwashing for the bottom 85%. The top 15% are kitty diddler. Yeah, I actually agree, Volker. I think you're right. Yeah, and we talk about that. Is that most Democrats, even though they've gone further left, are just ordinary people. They're veterans as well. They're people that go to work every day. They want to take care of their family. And I think you're right. They're misguided. I think they're lost. And that's mostly in part to the mainstream media, but it's also up to them to sit there and make sure that they read and go do research and figure out, why they have these types of thinking. I'm not right on everything. I'm probably wrong about a lot of things, but I do read a lot of left-wing media outlets. That's for darn sure, because I want to know what they're saying. And I agree. They're countrymen, and we've said that in the past. I just hound them because, again, it's frustrating that they're going to vote Democrat when you have all this going on, because it harms themselves. Harms, right? Not literally like hurt you, but it hurts their pocketbook. It hurts their retirement. It hurts a lot of Americans in terms of them trying to get ahead. And I just don't understand why they constantly have to sit there and keep doing this. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense to me. But you don't want to know what does make sense to me is, you guys sitting there supporting me all the time. That makes sense. And I absolutely love you, Patriots. Thank you so much for always helping me and supporting the show. It's always greatly appreciated. So we're going to end it there, folks. I got to get ready. I got an early morning meeting. But you coming in here and having, I think, one of our first disagreements. I think we've disagreed in the past before. But I love the fact that we're all still here. Nobody really left. Nobody was like, oh, boo-hoo, oh, we disagree. Life goes on. And I hope all of you have a freaking blessed day. I hope you have an awesome day. Make sure you pray for Donald Trump. Pray for this country. And, honestly, pray for Joe Biden. Pray for Kamala Harris. Because if they do stay in, right, like Joe Biden's here for another few months, and then if Kamala Harris, God forbid, does get in, we need these people to make good decisions. And power of prayer is effective. And I just want what's best for this country. And I don't think Kamala Harris is what's best. I think it is Donald Trump. But look, sometimes, you don't get what's best in office, and you still need them to make good decisions. So pray for everything you possibly can, folks. I hope you have a lovely day. We'll be back here tomorrow, maybe even potentially tonight, because we didn't even get through half our show, and we might clean that up later or save it for tomorrow. But take care of yourselves. God bless. Thank you, Patriots, for all of those that supported. Greatly appreciated again. And just again, a quick shout out for those that did support. Lem, $2. Thank you so much. Eric Birch, $5. Eric's supported a lot in the past. And Roxy, $9.99. Thank you so much, folks. It is greatly appreciated. With that being said, take care, Patriots. God bless.